Kashrak gaat door zak, chak gaat zitten. Tekoi die gaat, koshke kon ja die gaat. Akla du sai kaus ke ach istu sai ganina kanana dashkan gaat. Ach istu ishas tekoi di yakta kon gaat. My Indian name is Kashrak. I'm Tekoi D of the Bear Clan. And my late grandmother was Lillian Olin from Ruby and Galena. And my mom, Eva, she's from Ruby as well. She's here somewhere. But I just want to say it's really, really good to be here. And thanks for having me. I still get nervous public speaking. People always think I'm not that shy, but working on a movie is a little bit different. I can see all the faces looking at me, so bear with me. He'd mentioned in 2007 I moved to LA. One of the things that also happened in 2007 is I started working for Doyon Drilling, and I roughnecked on Rig 14 for 5 years. And it did allow me to live in California, and I traveled back and forth every 2 weeks. At that time when I got that job, Tanana Chiefs Conference really helped me out, bought all my supplies for the North Slope, put me through roustabout training. I went up there and I got my job and was able to sustain a living in California. And I always knew I wanted to do the movie stuff. But I didn't know where to start or how to start, so I just kind of went to LA and kind of started taking acting classes. Got out there, and 7 years later, 8 years, 9, 10 years later, 10 years later, here I am. Like he said, I'm an ambassador for Native Wellness Institute. Great organization. Check out their website, nativewellness.com. We do a lot of wellness work around different communities, and I think actually our organization traveled to Tanana recently, and I think that's, I get asked to go around to different communities, Native communities all over the country, and one of the things that is the most beautiful to me is that how supportive we are of people who are doing things in the mainstream. Every community shows a lot of love, and it's always the best when you get it from your own, and so being here, seeing all you guys, and being asked by Doyon to come and speak, that's a huge honor for me, and I really, it means a lot to me. I appreciate it. It's kind of different because growing up, I've been at North American since I was a kid, playing in the tournament since I was 18. I've played in it several times, maybe 10 times, and seeing all my uncles and aunties, and then every time I come up, I didn't grow up in the interior, I grew up in Southeast Alaska, so every time I'd come up here with my mom, she's always introducing me to people, and they'd be like, oh, this is your cousin so-and-so, or this is your auntie, and or when people, randomly would ask me, it's like this everywhere. I swear, every Native community I've gone to, and I've gone to literally 100 different reservations all over Indian country. In Florida, I was just visiting the Seminoles in Florida 2 weeks ago, and there's always a Native auntie that comes up to you, and they'll look at you for a long time, and they'll say, "Who's your mom?" So that just warms my heart when I hear that, and I'll tell them, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know her." I'm like, "Yeah, she's all the way in Alaska," So that's my favorite question. So I ask little kids now all the time at the gym, "Who's your mom?" But no, that's one of the things that I was asked to talk about today is passion and overcoming obstacles. And I've always been passionate about the arts. And I've never really had support in the pursuit of what I'm doing now. When I used to tell people I'm going to be an actor or I'm going to do the movie thing, people kind of make fun of me or laugh at me and be like, "Oh, you're crazy." I'm like, no, I can see it in my mind. I know how it's going to play out. And right now it's playing out exactly the way I envisioned it. So there's something to be said about envisioning a goal, having your eyes set on a goal and your mind, and being passionate about it enough to work towards that goal or that dream or that vision and accomplishing it. And to me, what I'm doing might get the most attention because it's, millions of people are watching the movies and stuff, but at the end of the day, like, it's not the most important job, Like, I come home, people ask me, like, they look, and kids look up to me and they want to know how I did it, how I got out of the community. And I tell them, I'm like, well, our communities are beautiful, and it's not a place that you need to escape. I can't wait to move home one day. Our people have been here for thousands, 10, 12,000 years, 15,000 years, and I'm the first person since my ancestors were here and in Southeast. I'm the first person in that long line of generations that's moved thousands of miles away from home. So it's only temporary. I'll be back. I love my home state. I love being here. But one of the things that, is for overcoming obstacles, I think that, when we see somebody who wants to overcome obstacles, we should do everything we can to support them, whether they're somebody who's pursuing a degree at Stanford, or somebody who's pursuing a degree at UAF, or somebody who wants to be an artist and wants to pursue that full time. To me, I think that, success is something that is measured by our accomplishments, but also how much wellness, whatever it is that we're doing, brings into our lives. How much wellness that brings into our life. So for me, when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I wanted to be a welder. I wanted to work on a rig, and I thought that was going to be what made me happy. And I did it, and it didn't make me happy. That's okay. It did allow me to. It did teach me a lot of work ethic, and provided resources for me to be able to do what I'm doing now. But I think that when we're at our best when we support each other, and I get that a lot from my community, but also here now, and this platform that I've been given to speak and go and meet with people and kids and youth, I've become an ambassador for Nike N7, and Nike N7 is an awesome extension of Nike, and so I'm wearing Nike N7 shoes right now. They're Michael Jordan shoes, right? So as an ambassador for them, 95% of the profits that these shoes make and other products from N7 make, 95% of those profits are going towards a native community to improve that community, And I also recently became the national spokesperson for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America and the native representation for that organization. So I go to D.C. and lobby on the Hill to raise funds for youth all over the country. And I think that, having this platform, one of the most beautiful things about it is that, I can really focus on what is important, And to me, when I come back to the community, I see it, and I see that those of you out here who are working to provide the resources that we need, to provide the scholarships, to provide health care, to provide language revitalization. All of those things are the most important things that we have, and there's so many more things. And you see people that are at home and they're working, they're running a daycare, whatever, It's not just the people who are in school or the people who are in the movies that represent the success in our communities. It's everybody that's working towards a place of wellness. It's everybody that has an idea that, whatever they're doing is helping the community, and I don't think any role in the community is unimportant. And we're all, everything that we do as Native people, and in our communities, there's just so much beauty in it to me, and I see and that's one of the things that I try to communicate to the kids, because they look at their community a lot of times, and some of them might have unwellness in their life, or some of them might see something that's not healthy, and they want to escape that, you know. So what we can do is provide a safe environment for our children. We can provide a safe environment for each other, you know, and work towards a place of wellness and health, you know. And I think when we focus on those things, everything just operates so much more smoothly, you know. And you know, it's and that living, I've always had that at my home. You know, my parents provided that safe environment, and by living in a safe environment, by living in a place where you know, wellness was a thing that we focused on as a family, it allowed me to dream big. You know, Billy Mills, who was the only American ever to win the 10,000 meter run at the Olympics, is Lakota Sioux from Pine Ridge, and he won the 1964 Olympic gold medal. And I listened to him speak at Nike N7. He talked about, you know, our kids live in a poverty of dreams. They don't know how to dream. The idea of dreaming big it's non-existent in their lives, you know. So that's why we have suicide in our communities, and a lot of people don't want to talk about that because it's an uncomfortable conversation. I think we need to have more of those conversations and talk about how we can stop suicide in our communities, you know. And that starts with wellness. That starts with providing that safe environment. So you have to understand your power. You know, we have power. We are power. The power is in our heartbeat. The power is not in everybody else deciding how we're going to live. You know, we can help. You know, the boards and stuff, they're going to help. You know, their organizations are going to help. But ultimately, we decide how we're going to live, you know, with each other, with the earth, with our traditions. And I think that, you know, when we focus on wellness, you know, we eliminate some of those negative things from happening. And that's so important, because our kids need to dream big, you know, to know that they can, you know, to have hope, to have a dream, to have an idea that I can become whatever I want to be, whether it's a astronaut or a doctor or a actor or somebody who's going to go and work for another community, you know. But I think, you know, we are power. A power is in us. And think about this. Think about this for a second. Sometimes we all feel powerless. How many of us feel powerless? We feel like we're not important, or we don't matter, or nobody sees us. We feel powerless. And then how does that affect the people around us? It brings them down. So that's power. You know, and when we lift each other up, you know, and we empower each other, you know, there's so much that stems from that. I've seen, you know, I've met some amazing people all over Indian country, and some of the most powerful people are grandmothers that never left, you know, grandpas that never left their community, and they carry their community. You know, I see that everywhere I go, and I think that, you know, everybody, you know, I can't emphasize how important it is to support our children, to provide that safe environment for them, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, we have to provide that. And if we have any hope for the future, you know, to you know, pass down what we know to them, then it starts with them. You know, we're responsible for the future and the past as well as the present. And so we have to understand that we are power. Our power is in our heartbeat, you know, and we can lift each other up. And when we do that, you know, all the other, we focus on the positive, the negative kind of fades away. But, you know, so the biggest obstacles I've overcome in life are not limitations that were put there by other people or society or anybody else. They were the limitations that were there, that were put in place by myself, by my bad habits, by my unhealthy things. You know, when I stopped drinking, you know, things started working better for me. I don't know why. I had fun when I was doing it. I never hurt anybody. I was never careless. I never, you know, did anything that I truly regret. but at the end of the day, when I put it away, things started successfully happening for me, and I noticed that when I started talking to kids about dreaming big, and I'm like, okay, now I could talk to them about sobriety. I could talk to them about dreaming big. I could talk, and I'm not lying to them, so we always have to be real with ourselves, because we can care for the younger generation, love them however we like, but if we're not being real with ourselves, then whatever we pass down to them is being affected by that lack of reality, and so having a clear and coherent mind and waking up on a daily basis and thinking about clarity and coherence, it just, we think our way through, right? We think our way through life. And so think about some of those things, and support each other and lift each other up. That's our power, our truest power, our most powerful. The most power we have is in the way we treat each other, and we lift each other up, and we're kind, and that's our values as at the Baskin, my Koyakan values, my Tlingit values. They're in that, in the way I carry myself as a traditional person, but so there's so many things I want to talk about, but it's hard to pick one. So I'm just gonna, I don't have much more time here, but I just want to say that, it's really good to come back home and see everybody here, and know that, I have the support coming from home that carries me so much. It lifts me up so much that, I think about, the things, because I get down on myself. I have moments where I feel weak, where I feel vulnerable, or I feel like nobody sees me, or maybe, this thing isn't going to work out. So many times I've almost given up, and think I'm moved on to California, pursuing a dream that seemed unrealistic to most people, except for me, and I'm making it happen, and now I look, how can I give back? Okay, well, communicate with the youth, and so, but you don't have to have a platform or have, a bunch of followers on social media or anything to have that platform. You can do that. We can all be big brothers, big sisters, aunties, uncles, and be caretakers. We're all caretakers of our communities. So I just want to let that sit with you. And again, from the bottom of my heart, it's so good to be here and see everybody, and playing a basketball tournament, and just I love you guys. So good luck. Basset. Thank you.